What's up guys, today I explain you Jujutsu Kaisen Gege teases who Yuji ends up with. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe this channel. Now have fun with the video. Throughout the run of Gege, fans did not see Yuji Itadori have any romantic partners. This shouldn't come as a surprise to the fans, because the story actually runs for a very short period of time. In the world of Gege, not even a year has passed since the story's beginning, and as such, not many relationships change in this short period of time. When thinking of how turbulent these times were, it becomes especially impossible for these characters to develop their personal relationships. As such, Yuji, who was single at the beginning of Gege, continued to be that way right up until the very end. While Yuji was without any romantic partner in Gege for the vast majority of the story, that certainly doesn't mean the author did not hint at things. As expected, the author dropped some hints about Yuji and Nobara being romantic partners, which was there just for the sake of it. It was made clear in the story on many occasions that there was absolutely nothing between these two characters, and most fans interpret the relationship as a sibling-like bond. For the most part, it can be said that Yuji and Megumi also had an interesting relationship, but once again, at the end of things, this relationship was portrayed to be more brotherly than anything else. There is only one character whom Yuji was drawn into by Gege when it comes to a romantic subplot, and that is Ozawa. For the fans who do not remember, Ozawa was one of Yuji's schoolmates whom he genuinely enjoyed spending time with. She was always in love with him, and he was one of the only few people who was actually nice to her. Ozawa returned in Gege at a later point in time, and while she intended to confess her feelings to him, that never came to be. Much to the surprise of the fans, Ozawa returned in Gege's epilogue, and once again, she had the opportunity to spend time with Yuji Itadori. Gege's epilogue opened up with Ozawa, which was a surprise to the fans. She was back in her hometown, and after spending many years there with a completely different physical appearance, she was seen frustrated about the fact that nobody would ever go on to recognize her. In a way, Ozawa was frustrated by how shallow people can be. But her bubble burst when Yuji Itadori popped up in front of her and recognized her immediately. Then again, while Yuji's presence was a surprise to her, the fact that he recognized her certainly wasn't. This is simply down to the fact that Yuji is a very perceptive character, and at the same time, not shallow at all. Yuji even mentioned his interest in her long ago when he was in school. For Yuji to recognize Ozawa immediately was not shocking at all. For Ozawa, however, this was a moment that flustered her. But, at the same time, she recognized that this was her chance to rekindle a relationship with Yuji after their time in high school. With Yuji being there to clean up on old business following his grandpa's death, this was the perfect time for him to meet up with her often and build upon a solid relationship. The author cleverly uses the metaphor of liking snow here. At the very beginning of the chapter, fans got to see a flashback where both Yuji and Ozawa are seen observing the snow. Both of them admit to loving snow, and the fact that they share this moment together certainly adds a special importance to it. In the epilogue, Ozawa asks Yuji if he likes snow still, to which he responds that he absolutely does. To Ozawa, this is essentially a big test, because she wants to see if Yuji still likes spending time with her, just as they did watching snow as kids, or not. Thankfully for her, Yuji's response is positive, and from here onwards, a positive relationship between these two characters could be built. At the end of Gege's epilogue, fans did not get to see much of Yuji and Ozawa, because there were other characters who took up the spotlight. Yuji and Ozawa only got to talk for a short period of time, and it is unclear as to what exactly happened to them after this conversation. Given that Yuji was there for quite some time, it is possible that they ended up talking a lot more and got closer to each other. But whether Yuji and Ozawa then went on to date or not remains to be seen. Fans do not know anything about this development in the story. It can be said that Yuji and Ozawa's relationship was left ambiguous by the author, and this was likely done on purpose to keep them on the edge of their seats. That said, the fact that Ozawa was reintroduced in the epilogue and her feelings for Yuji were highlighted once again certainly does give more weight to the idea that they might have ended up together a few years later. Fans got a 62-year time skip, but, unfortunately, no hint was provided on what happened with Yuji and Ozawa. It is entirely possible that they ended up getting married and had kids and possibly even grandkids. However, for now, there is absolutely no confirmation. All fans can take away from the epilogue is that their relationship was brought back into focus, and they developed it to a certain degree. Whether they ended up dating after or not is something that cannot be said for certain. But what can be said is that the author certainly hinted at it greatly, because otherwise, the epilogue would be there to serve absolutely no purpose at all.